Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 7th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. It's being called a historic vote, a local community finally getting the go-ahead for a plan decades in the making. Late today, the City Council unanimously approved a Barrio Logan blueprint to help it move into the future. KPBS Race and Equity reporter Christina Kim with details.
Barrio Logan, the heart of San Diego's Chicano and Latino community, could soon have a new community plan that lays out where homes and businesses can be built in the future. The San Diego City Council unanimously approved the plan today. It's been 43 years since the plan was last updated. Councilmember Vivian Moreno, who represents Barrio Logan, says it shouldn't have taken this long.
The adoption of the Barrio Logan Community Plan update is a major accomplishment. The residents of Barrio Logan have long desired to have a modern community plan, and the fruit of their labor is before us today.
Segregated and redlined in the early 20th century, only to have freeways and bridges tear through its center in the 1960s, Barrio Logan now has some of the highest rates of asthma in the state. For longtime activists and residents, the new plan is a way of building a more equitable future and addressing that past. Naomi Sanchez grew up and lives in Barrio Logan.
It does not make up for all of the years of injustice, but it's definitely a better step moving forward for our communities and our future generations.
The extensive plan includes changing the zoning for a 65-acre area in the community. This would create a transitional buffer zone between where people live and heavy industrial activities. In 2013, an updated community plan containing the buffer zone was approved, but then maritime businesses funded a referendum the next year, which scrapped the entire plan. This time, however, the maritime industry is on board.
I am really happy. This has been a long time coming. We in industry have put forth a lot of effort to ensure that we get to this point. While the residents are extremely proud of what's the outcome, so are we.
And for the first time in the city's history, the new plan also contains anti-displacement measures, including requiring 15% affordable housing in new developments and providing priority to new housing for Barrio Logan residents. Something that Sanchez, a Barrio Logan resident, knows will impact her and others in the community.
It definitely will give people the tranquility of knowing they're going to have somewhere to live next month.
Mark Steele is the chair of the Barrio Logan Community Planning Group. He credits the plan's ability to move forward with the agreement reached just last year.
Where we are today is a result of a successful negotiation between the Environmental Health Coalition, the shipbuilding industry, ship repair industry, and the Barrio Logan Planning Group to create a memorandum of understanding that outlined all the details of uses that were allowed and not allowed in the transitions.
The City Council will review the plan again in January before sending it to the Coastal Commission sometime next year. But even still, for those that have been working for years for a new community plan, today's vote is a cause for celebration. Christina Kim, KPBS News.
And today is the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, an attack that drew the United States into World War II. This morning, the moment was remembered at a ceremony aboard the USS Midway Museum, and KPBS reporter John Carroll was there.
On December 8, 1941, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt addressed Congress with words now seared into American history.
December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Old movie-tone newsreels show what happened on that date when planes from what was then the Empire of Japan swooped down and attacked the U.S. fleet at Pearl Harbor. 80 years later, on board the USS Midway Museum today, a ceremony marking the anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attack.
Bow your heads and let us pray for our departed shipmates who are now serving on the staff of the Supreme Commander.
The traditional two-bell ceremony, remembering those Pearl Harbor vets who are no longer with us. The laying of the wreath. And the sounding of taps done in the form of call and response. A fitting tune for today, the first time none of San Diego's dwindling number of Pearl Harbor vets were able to attend the ceremony. This picture is of Stu Headley and Clayton Schenkelberg, two of San Diego's best-known Pearl Harbor survivors. We lost both of them earlier this year. And that in itself is a sad reminder that out of the 16 million men and women that served in World War II, only about 300,000 are left. And out of that 300,000, very few are Pearl Harbor survivors.
They were the ones that always kept the message that we should never forget. We think it's incumbent upon ourselves, the generations of today, to continue to deliver that message so that America's always ready, because we never know what's going to happen.
We did expect rain to happen during this morning's ceremony, but it held off until literally right after the event ended. Dave Kuntz says perhaps that was a sign from beyond, from those who were there for the day that will live in infamy. John Carroll, KPBS News.
The San Diego County District Attorney has filed felony charges against 10 people in connection with violence that broke out at a pro-Trump rally last January. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado has reaction from a photographer who was there.
On January 9th, longtime Pacific Beach resident and photographer John Kokoza went out to shoot what he thought would be a rally in support of former President Trump and a counter-protest happening on the boardwalk.
Guys are swinging skateboards at us. Guys are swinging makeshift staffs and batons at us. People are trying to shoot mace at us. And they're screaming, "Get him, get him."
He says instead, a violent mob turned on him.
And he took a swing straight at my skull. And then at the last moment, I was able to turn and deflect it, and I took the shot straight on my back.
The DA has filed charges against 10 people they say have ties to Antifa, a political movement that oppose fascism and right-wing ideology. The charges include conspiracy, assault, and vandalism. In a press release, the DA says the San Diego Police Department's search and arrest warrant spanned 2 counties, San Diego and Los Angeles. Kokoza says he didn't think charges would be filed.
It felt good. I mean, I had at that point in time kind of lost faith in the justice system to do anything.
Some are angry charges were filed against the counter-protesters, saying Trump supporters were violent too and should also be held accountable. A lawsuit is pending in federal court claiming San Diego police officers showed favoritism to Trump supporters. San Diego police aren't commenting on that suit. But the DA says the evidence is overwhelming and shows the majority of the violence was caused by the Antifa-affiliated defendants.
When we start getting into political violence, that's not okay. And it's not okay from either side.
If convicted, the defendants could face up to 10 years in prison. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
The San Diego Unified School District is closer to naming a new superintendent tonight. At this hour, the district's Search Advisory Committee is presenting school board members with a final proposal on how to make the choice. The district of more than 100,000 students has been operating with an interim superintendent since last summer. Cindy Martin resigned the position after being appointed Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Education. After 8 months of interviews, the committee narrowed the list to 10 people the board should consider. All candidates were pressed on their plans for dealing with the ongoing COVID crisis.
I would project we'll be in a pandemic in January when they take the helm. They will have to deal with that, and they will have to deal with parents' dissatisfaction over the handling of the safety or the overhandling of safety of their children and their students.
The committee also recommends the final top 3 candidates be available for questioning by students, staff, and parents in a hybrid virtual and in-person community forum on January 10th. San Diego City Council member Jen Campbell is under fire over her staff members' involvement in the process of drawing new council districts. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says critics want an investigation.
For months, San Diego's Independent Redistricting Commission has been debating how to redraw the city's 9 city council districts. In October, it looked as if Campbell would be drawn into a new district, meaning she'd have to move to run for re-election. That's when her senior policy advisor, Seamus Kennedy, started proposing maps that wouldn't require her to move. Campbell says she didn't ask him to do that, but a nonprofit group last week asked the city attorney's office to investigate the matter. The office responded saying they'll look into it, but that everyone has a right to engage in the redistricting process as a private citizen. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Cruise ships are once again sailing the open seas, and that has given COVID an advantage. More than a dozen people are reported to have become infected on a cruise ship in New Orleans. Here in San Diego, port officials say they are monitoring any developments that could have an impact on our local cruise ship industry, which lost $300 million while ships were docked because of the pandemic. The first cruise ship left San Diego 2 months ago with an estimated 100 cruise calls this season. That means up to 225,000 passengers.
Return of the cruise ships to the water has really inspired a lot of people to take cruises once again. What we have seen is the cruise line industry has really gone above and beyond to make sure that passengers feel safe.
AAA says many of the cruises in the United States require passengers to be vaccinated or present a negative COVID test before boarding. Protocols also include regular cleaning, wearing masks, as well as an end to self-serve buffets. Fentanyl is a deadly trifecta. It is cheap, it can be easily disguised as a different drug, and it's 50 times more potent than heroin. And KPBS's Katie Steele says the numbers show the challenge health officials face. Fentanyl overdoses have more than quadrupled in San Diego County since 2018.
There really is no safety net out here on the streets.
Emmy McClarty survived homelessness and addiction, and she wanted her best friend Josh Palmer to be able to say the same. But each push from her was met with an empty promise. He wasn't ready to get clean. Her last words to him were that she'd see him later.
There was always going to be a see you later. Always was supposed to be a see you later. And I'm not going to see him later.
Palmer died of a fentanyl overdose in March on the steps of the Fraternal Order of Eagles, just off the bustling University Avenue in Hillcrest. Data from the San Diego County Medical Examiner's Office shows at least 446 people died in 2020 with fentanyl in their system. That's 4 times higher than in 2018. It's a problem nationally as well. According to the New York Times, more than 100,000 people died of drug overdoses within the first 12 months of the pandemic. That's 30% more than the previous year. 9 months into the year, and already more people have died with fentanyl in their systems than last year. By the end of August 2021, at least 534 people have died with fentanyl in their system. Even more people are expected to die by year's end, says Dr. Luke Bergman. He's the director of San Diego County's Behavioral Health Services.
It's really hard to say when, the epidemic curve is going to turn. We're continuing to see increases. It's very difficult to control supply, right? Particularly with fentanyl, because it's so strong, it's odorless, it's colorless, it's very easy to transport as an illicit narcotic. It's very easy to hide in other substances because of that. So it represents a challenge.
The disheartening truth is these deaths are mostly avoidable because the antidote, naloxone, is easy to access. But misinformation about the drug and stigmas about addiction prevent people from helping someone who's overdosing. So says Dr. Ryan Marino, a Cleveland-based addiction medical specialist.
People don't deserve to suffer, die, anything like that just because they use drugs. And so to me, this is just more stigma that kind of hurts people with substance use disorders and addiction, and even people who just casually use drugs, and prevents them from getting appropriate treatment.
Misinformation can also impact the loved ones of those who die of fentanyl overdoses. Diane Hotchkiss lost her husband, Derek, to a $15 hit of fentanyl in 2019. But she says the man she knew was already gone when he died.
I realized, though, he was too far gone. His personality was gone.
When her husband overdosed, Hotchkiss vividly remembers calling 911, hoping paramedics could help.
They were the ones that let me know, like, hey, you have a 1-year-old here. Like, if he touches it, he will die instantly.
She and Dominic left their home the day Derek died and never returned. Marino said the team did not have the correct information.
Any drugs, near an infant can be problematic, but it's not something that is going to get into your body unless you are injecting or snorting it. It doesn't just cross through the skin. It isn't just getting into the air.
Since a Democratic majority took over the Board of Supervisors, Bergman with the county says they've shifted their treatment methods towards a model to reduce the likelihood of harm for drug users. That can include naloxone, clean tools to inject with, primary care, shelter, and showers.
The spirit of it is getting people what they need and what they want. Even if they're not in a particular moment able to commit to a trajectory towards abstinence.
The county also created community harm reduction teams specifically for the homeless community and plan to expand them countywide.
We're doing everything we can to make sure that people are getting access to the formal clinical care that we do know over the long haul reduces likelihood of overdose death and other harms associated with substance misuse.
Those changes came too late for people like Josh Palmer and the Hotchkiss family. Whether they make a dent in the number of overdoses in future years remains to be seen. Katie Steele, KPBS News.
And it's worth noting, an online summit will be held December 16th to address the dangers of fentanyl for local middle and high school students following an uptick in overdose deaths. Schools are invited to take part. Keynote speaker is former NBA player Chris Herron. The event, dubbed SD Needs to Know, is scheduled for 9:30 a.m. and is being organized by the DA's office, the Board of Education, and by county supervisors. Instagram is rolling out a new tool called Take a Break. It includes an alert that users can turn on after using the app for a certain amount of time. Instagram says it will also take a stricter approach to what content it recommends to teenagers. The new tool comes after former Facebook employee leaked documents suggesting that Instagram harms the mental health of young women and girls. Tomorrow, Instagram CEO faces questions from lawmakers over its child safety practices.
We're looking at a cold front that's going to be pressing south here as we head into Thursday and Friday, and along with it, it's going to be bringing some moisture, rain showers and gusty winds likely on Thursday. And then guess what? There's another chance for some more wet weather for us next week. So we'll be tracking that moving forward. Heading to tonight, we fall back down to the upper 40s in Escondido, low 40s for you in Ramona, 50 degrees in Oceanside, upper 40s in Barrio Springs, Mount Laguna getting down to 40 degrees. Heading towards Wednesday, again, you start to feel that cooler push of air pressing southward here for some. The warmth returns here across the Four Corners region where it will cool off again later in the week. Temperatures on your Wednesday here across southern parts of California getting up into the mid-70s in Borrego Springs, low 60s in Ramona, 66 in San Diego, pretty seasonable for this time of year. But again, heading into Thursday, a mess of weather unfolding as our cold front presses south. That's going to bring in some rain showers from Los Angeles down towards San Diego. I think the interior spots of the southwest of Southern California will likely see some rain showers in the deserts also, and into some of the higher terrain too. So looking ahead near the coast, temperatures for you are going to fall back to about 60 degrees for your Thursday. A little bit of a cooler day for you there. Looking to stay in the low to mid 60s. Beyond that, again, breezy with rain there for your Thursday. Further inland, temperatures in the upper 50s. A little bit of a cool down there on Thursday again. Periods of rain possible, and then temperatures rebound for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. back up into the low to mid 60s. In the mountains, temperatures really cool off here, low 40s Thursday with some showers possible, and then we drop into the 30s on Friday for highs. And then trying to warm up a little bit there Saturday and Sunday, back up into the low 40s. In the deserts, again, same story, except we go from the 70s to the 60s on Thursday, and then we stay there even beyond heading into Friday and the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Jessica Pash.
San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria has promised to spend $40 million for infrastructure needs in communities that have been historically neglected. But is it enough? iNewsSource investigative reporter Anissa Durham has the story.
As longtime San Diegans know, residents complaining about infrastructure is not new. But for the first time ever, city council members were invited to submit road repair requests they say are needed in their district. We spoke with residents in Logan Heights who have long complained about these issues. They say they've noticed disparities between roads in their neighborhoods and wealthier parts of the city. Plus, some doubt the money will make a lasting impact. Road repairs don't come cheaply. 1 mile of road repairs can cost anywhere from $130,000 to $6 million. An iNewsSource analysis found that the request amounted to more than 40 miles of road. That's way more than the city can afford to fix. City officials say they'll finalize the list of funded road projects soon. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource investigative reporter Anissa Durham.
iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS. The Little Italy Association has partnered with one of its nonprofit neighbors to help the homeless in the community. KPBS reporter Melissa May rode along with the outreach team.
Homelessness has been a constant issue for San Diego. The Little Italy Association wanted to help those on the street in their neighborhood, but didn't have the resources to do so. That's where the partnership with the San Diego Rescue Mission began.
We got the great opportunity to partner up with Little Italy and coming out here and seeing how we can meet people exactly where they're at, which is on the street.
Carla Venegas is one of the 2 homeless outreach coordinators for the Rescue Mission. Over 19 years ago, the mission helped her and her children get off the street.
They took me in and they helped me and they cared for me and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that's what I get to do now. I get to come back to the street and I get to help these people believe in themselves again, believe in hope again.
The outreach team drives a van full of supplies and resources all around Little Italy, from Laurel to Ash Street, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to noon.
This program allows me to show up every day, and to say, okay, what can we do today to help move you forward?
She spoils me, yeah. She spoils me rotten. Coffee and breakfast. It's kind of really neat, you know, to have someone show up. You look forward to that. My dog looks forward to her, boy. She brings us treats.
That's Robert. He's been homeless for 20 years. He and his dog Jolie live on the streets of Little Italy and is one of the regulars who benefit from the outreach program.
We're doing great. Me and the dog are doing great, a lot better because of her. Thanks to Carla, yeah, I'm really proud of her. So for helping me out like she does.
The funds for the outreach program came from county grant money requested by the Little Italy Association, which then matched it. Marco Lamandri is the chief executive administrator of the association.
This is not the end result that everybody wants, which is housing for everybody. But it's a great interim step, and I think they're the people that do it best.
Paul Armstrong is the vice president of programs for the San Diego Rescue Mission and says the system can be difficult to navigate.
This is a relational issue, and this is a community connection piece. And so what we really want to do is we want to help people get connected and then walk alongside them so they can get to wholeness.
We just have to figure it out one day at a time, right?
The goal of this partnership, when a person is ready to get off the streets of Little Italy, they have the resources to do so from people they've built a trusting relationship with.
We will make a difference. Even if it's one person at a time, we will.
Melissa May, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Biden speaks with Vladimir Putin amid fears that Russia could soon invade Ukraine. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Hi, I'm John Decker. Thank you for watching Evening Edition on KPBS.
Now more than ever, local news is essential to our democracy, and KPBS is committed to delivering local news in San Diego and the Imperial Valley. Evening Edition, along with our other services on radio, digital, and podcasts, is how our news team delivers the news to you. How can we do it? With a passion for accurate storytelling and a commitment to excellence in journalism. But most importantly, we do it with your support, our members, our viewers. If you've already donated to KPBS, then we thank you very much for your continued support. If you haven't had a chance to donate, now is a great time to show how much you appreciate the news we deliver. So please go online and choose a level, pick a gift at kpbs.org, or call or text DONATE at 1-800-576-5727, and thank you.
And here is a look at what we are working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. They're called cat burglars, but not for the reason that you might think. On Morning Edition, a look at the rise in catalytic converter thefts and how you can protect your car. Plus, support small business and get a gift for the bookworm in your life. On Midday Edition, what to expect at the North Park Book Fair and how the pandemic has impacted independent bookstores. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.